bring in new evidence, and it has to adjust your theory, because theories are just theories. One of the things that you and I have been talking about are the idea of these micronova events on the sun, these periodic cyclical eruptions on many stars based on the Kepler-2 satellite data. And that as this stuff is sprayed out into the universe around in our solar system, and these things could have been blasted out from the sun in these periodic explosions, and that could have been deposited on the moon, on Earth, on Mars. The fact that they're only about 12 miles down indicates they're not deep penetrator meteor impacts. So it leads me now to believe that these magnetic anomalies, if not all of them, certainly some of them, could be from solar eruptions. And this is just solar material that is splattered out and these planets have run into in this huge cloud of debris once the sun releases these nova.
You can't hear it. You thought you felt something. Maybe it's just you being clumsy again. It was a rumbling, almost subsonic, as to be inaudible. Wait, now you're stumbling. And you don't know why. And now you hear it. You felt it, but it happened so fast your brain just didn't have time to register the world of shit you're now in. It's fight or flight. So it begins. Violent thrust knocking you to the ground once more. It begins pulsing each second, getting more extreme and terrifying, but not as terrifying as a thundering roar. You observe the spooked and frightened animals, but it all happens so fast it has caught you unprepared. The earthquake has started, only it's not like any other quake in history. The Sierra Nevada mountains, they shake like the dirty dishes left piled up in your cheap old apartment when the subway roared past. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward with the force of 1,000 armies. The wind attacks, ripping, shredding everything in its supersonic bombardment. The unbelievable mountain of Pacific water follows the wind eastward, burying Los Angeles and San Francisco as if they were but grains of sand. Nothing but nothing stops the relentless, overwhelming onslaught of wind and ocean across the continent. The 1,000-mile-per-hour wind wreaks its unholy vengeance everywhere without mercy and refusing to cease. Every living thing is ripped to shreds while being blown across the countryside. As the never-before-felt earthquake leaves no place untouched. In many places, the Earth's molten sublayer breaks through and spreads a sea of white, hot, liquid fire, adding to the Holocaust. And within 3 hours, the fantastic wall of water moves across the continent, burying the wind-ravaged land under 2 miles of seed and water coast to coast. All vestiges of a once proud and thriving civilization, and almost all signs of their presence are gone. The cities of Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, New York are nothing but legends now and will only live on in the stories told by those blessed enough to survive, and their children's children will tell of the 4-mile-high mountain of water and about wind so violent it skinned those caught in its fury. Barely a stone now is left where millions walked just moments prior. A few lucky ones who managed to find shelter from the screaming wind on the lee side of Pikes Peak watch the sea of molten fire break through the quaking valleys below. The raging waters follow, piling higher and higher, steaming over the molten earth fire and rising almost to their feet. Only a great mountain such as this can one withstand the cataclysmic onslaught. North America is not alone in her death throes. Central America suffers the same cannonade wind, earth fire, and inundation. South America finds the Andes not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out like a Viking berserker in less than a day. Western Brazil, Ecuador, and Peru are shaken badly by the earthquake, scorched by molten fire, buried by cubic miles of torrential Pacific seas, and then turned into frozen hell. Everything freezes, man, beast, plant, and mud, all solidified rock hard in less than 4 hours. Europe cannot escape the onslaught. Poseidon rages and the Atlantic piles height upon height, a gargantuan wall of water. Following the banshee wind eastward, the Alps, Pyrenees, Urals, and Scandinavian mountains are shaken and heaved even higher before Poseidon's fury is thrust upon Western Africa, and the timeless sands of the Sahara are vanquished as wrath is poured out. The wind leading a full frontal assault, the ocean a savage juggernaut of the most destructive force on the planet, hammering the coast, then sweeping inland with forces unmatched onward to the area bounded by the Congo, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe wind and damaging earthquakes, but no inundation. Survivors there marvel at the sun, as it seems locked in the clouds, as it is in the sky for nearly half a day. Eastern Siberia and the Orient suffer a strange fate indeed, as though a giant subterranean sky swept away the Earth's foundations, accompanied by the wind and the screaming symphony of supersonic death and destruction, as the Arctic basin leaves its polar home. Eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma subjected to the same annihilation that of South American murders, wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing jungle. Nothing escapes if netted. Animals are shredded to ribbons by the wind, piled into mountains of flesh and bone, buried under avalanches of seawater and mud. Then comes the terrible, paralyzing cold. Not man, beast, plant, nor earth is left unfrozen in the entire eastern Asia continent, most of which remains below sea level. East of the Urals in western Siberia, a few lucky people survived the fantastic winds and quakes. Antarctica and Greenland, with their ice caps now rotating around the Earth in the torrid zone, a fury of wind and inundation marches on for 6 days and nights. During the 6th day, the oceans start to settle in their new homes, running off the higher grounds. On the 7th day, the horrendous rampage is over. The Arctic Ice Age ended and a new Stone Age begins. The oceans, the great homogenizers, have laid down another deep layer of mud over the existing strata. The Great Plains have exposed, and the Grand Canyon, painted desert, and badlands of Bay of Bengals just east of Indonesia is now at the North Pole. In the Pacific Ocean just west of Peru, the South Pole. Greenland and Antarctica, now rotating equatorially in the torrid zone, find their ice caps dissolving madly in the tropical heat. Massive walls of water and ice surge towards the ocean, taking everything from mountains to plains in gushing, heaving paths, creating immense seasonal moraines. And in less than 25 years, the ice caps are gone, and the oceans around the world rise over 200 feet with the newfound water. And the torrid zone will be shrouded in a fog for generations from the enormous amounts of moisture poured into the atmosphere by the melting ice caps. The new ice caps begin to form in the polar areas. Greenland and Antarctica emerged with verdant tropical foliage. Australia is the new unexplored continent in the north temperate zone, with only a few handful of survivors populating its vastness. New York lies at the bottom of the Atlantic, shattered, melted by earth fire, and covered by unbelievable amounts of mud. San Francisco and Los Angeles, not a trace is left. Egypt emerges from the Mediterranean, inundation new and higher, still the land of ages. The commonplace of our time becomes a mysterious Baalbek of new era and new era, yes. The cataclysm has done its work. Well, the greatest population regulator of all does once more for man what he refuses to do for himself, and drives a pitiful few who survive into the new Stone Age once more. The earth has shifted at 60-mile thick shell, with the poles moving almost to the equator in a fraction of a day. Again, the atmosphere and oceans refusing to change direction with the Earth's shell have wiped out almost all life. This tumble will join Noah, Adam, and Eve, Atlantis, Mu, Olympus, and Jesus joins Osiris, Zeus, and Vishnu. And that's chapter 1 in the Earth Catastrophe Cycle. That is a book that was classified by the CIA back in the 60s. And what does that tell you? Anyways, please like, share, subscribe, and click that little bell icon so that you're notified whenever I put more videos out on this subject, because there will be many more. Thank you, God bless, and thank you for slacking off.